Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to talk about translating words into symbols, so words to symbols. So you're going to be given a mathematical statement in words, and you're going to have to write it as an equation or an expression. Okay? All right, so you can see what that means in a little while. Now, in terms of the operations, so there are several things you need to know. So when you hear the word sum, plus, added to, more than, increased by, total, the operation that should come into your mind is addition. When you talk about, let's look at this, when you talk about um, difference of, minus, subtract from, less than, decrease by, less, that operation that should come to your mind should be subtraction. So these are the key words for subtraction. So difference of, minus, subtract from, less than, decrease by, and then less. Multiplication. So when you think of multiplication, you hear the word product. So product means to multiply. Times means to multiply. Multiply obviously means to multiply. Twice means to multiply. You're going to see what that means, twice. And then of means to multiply. Now be careful with of, because just because you see the word of in a statement doesn't always mean multiplication. All right, so you're going to see some instances of that. And then finally, oops, not finally, but division. So quotient means to divide. Divide obviously means to divide. Into means division. Ratio means division. And divided by means division. And then the other one would be equality. So you may see the words equals. So you hear the word equals, think of the equal sign. Gives, equal sign. Is, was, should be, equal sign. Yields, equal sign. Amounts to, represents, is the same as. All those are equal signs. Okay? So those are key words. Now, let me just say what this means right here. So the order matters in subtracting and also dividing. So you got to be careful when you do subtraction and division. So what I mean by order matters, and in a lesson coming up, we're going to talk about the words for these properties, but I just want you to, we're not going to do that here, I just want you to see why the order matters. And then in the next lesson, we're going to talk about, well, what is the definition of that property? What is the name of that property? Okay, so let's talk about why order matters for subtraction and division. So order matters. Let's just discuss that for a moment. All right, I'm not going to use the mathematical term here. I'm going to use it in the next lesson. So, for example, order matters. So is 7 subtract 3 the same as 3 subtract 7? All right, well, 7 subtract 3, that's easy. That's 4. Now you got to remember something about 3 subtract 7. So 3 subtract 7 is not 4. 3 subtract 7 is a negative 4. All right, so notice those two things are not equal. So these are not equal. So since they're not equal, that means that the order matters for subtraction. So order matters for subtraction. Okay, so the order matters. So the way in which subtract does matter. The way in which you subtract does matter. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about division. So in division, let's think about this. So is 8 divided by 2 the same as 2 divided by 8? That's the question. Well, 8 divided by 2, that's easy. That's just 4. 2 divided by 8, now be careful, don't say that's 4. 2 divided by 8 is 1/4. And notice those two things, 4 and a fourth, those are not equal. All right, so since they're not equal, what that means is that order matters for division. Order matters for division. So the way in which you divide, the order in which you divide does matter. The order in which you divide does matter. All right, now the others, so you see addition and multiplication. Watch. So order does not matter in these cases. Order does not matter. So order does not matter for addition. So 3 plus 2 is the same as 2 plus 3. All right? So the order in which you add does not matter. These are both 5s, so they're equal. So the order in which you add does not matter. Okay? The same is true for multiplication. 3 times 2 is that the same as, is that the same as 2 times 3? The answer is yes. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. They're the same. So the order in which you multiply does not matter. Okay? Now, in the next lesson, you're going to see what those properties are called that I'm referring to here. Okay, so the order matters for subtraction and division. Order does not matter for addition and multiplication. Okay? All right, now let's go back and continue on with this. So that's what I mean by this. Order matters when subtracting and also dividing. So you need to be especially careful when you see these words. Okay, so let's look at this example. Okay, so we're going to write an algebraic expression that represents each phrase, and we're going to use the variable x to represent the unknown number, to represent the number. Okay, so product, remember product is, here's the word product, so it's a multiplication. So the product of 5 and a number. Now remember, you're going to represent the number with the variable x. So I'm going to put the answer here. So the product, so multiplication, so you're multiplying 5 and x, so you just get 5 times x. So there's your expression. So this right here means the product of 5 and x, 5 and the number. A number added to 7, that one's not difficult. So a number, we're going to represent that x, and it's added to 7. So you just get x plus 7. A number divided by 11.2. So now remember, the order matters for division. Okay, order matters for division. So when you see the word divide by, then whatever is listed first is what you're going to put in the numerator, and whatever is listed second is what you're going to put in the denominator. So I'm going to say x divided by 11.2. So a number divided by 11.2. Okay, now you got to be careful with the word subtract from. Okay, so you got to be careful with subtraction. So this right here, subtract from, right here, subtract from. So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about this. In a previous course, you dealt with just numbers for the most part. So let me ask you this. How would you write let's do this in number 1. How would you write 7 subtract 2? 7 subtract 2. All right? That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm giving you this phrase, and I want to know, how would you write 7 subtract 2? Well, if you said 7 subtract 2 like this, you're correct. So 7 subtract 2. And so 7 subtract 2 is just 5. Okay? Now be careful with this one. What if I said 7 subtracted from 2? 7 subtracted from 2. So notice the difference. So this uses the word subtract, and this uses the word subtracted from or subtract from. Okay? All right. So 7 subtracted from 2 means this. Means 2 subtract 7. That's what that means. So 7 is being subtracted from 2. So that's what it means. So you got to be careful with the word subtract from. So don't say 7 subtract 2 because that's not true. 7 subtracted from 2 means I put this number first and then subtraction, and then I put this number last. Okay? So you got to distinguish between these two, subtract and subtract from. And so if you remember, 2 subtract 7 is just a -4. I'm sorry, -5. Okay? All right, so be careful with the word subtract from. Same thing with less than. So let's talk about less than. So if I say 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2. Okay? So just like with the word subtract, 6 minus 2 is going to be the same thing. So you're going to say 6 subtract 2. And so 6 subtract 2 is just 4. Okay? Now let's look at 4. Suppose I said 6 less 2. 6 less 2. So 6 less 2 means the same thing as 6 minus 2. So it's going to be 6 minus 2, which is 4. Okay, so I want you to notice that in these two right here, these two can mean the same thing. Okay? Same thing. Now what if I had this though? What if I had 6 less than 2? 6 less than 2. So what I want you to start thinking about is this. So remember the word subtract from, how you write it. So you kind of write it backwards. The same thing is true for less than. Same thing is true for less than. So these two right here, you're going to write backwards. All right, so 6 less than 2 means 2 minus 6. That's what that means. So subtract from, less than, think backwards. And so 2 subtract 6 is just -4. Okay? All right. Okay. So I think that's all I need to talk about in terms of these words. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's go back to letter D. A number subtracted from 8. So remember, a number is going to represent x. So this is your x right here. All right? But remember how we write the word subtract from. So when you see subtract from, this number or this expression following the subtract from words will be listed first. I'm going to say 8 subtract x. So the answer is going to be 8 subtract x. Okay? All right, twice, remember twice here is a multiplication. So remember, if I say twice your age, that means that if you're, let's say, 20, then if I twice it, if I multiply by 2, if I double it, I'm going to get 40. So here, twice a number, and then there's the word, the comma. So twice a number, means 2x, and then a comma, and then plus 1. All right, so twice a number plus 1. All right, so there's your expression for that one. Okay? All right, now, again, on the next page right here, so we're talking about difference. You got to be careful with the word decrease by, subtract from, less than. Okay? All right, so let's talk about decrease here. So let's use numbers just like we did this. All right, so number 6. Suppose I said 8 decreased by 2. 8 decreased by 2. All right, so now this one is not as, don't confuse this one with something like 2 and 5. So do what it says. It says I have the number 8 and I'm decreasing it by 2. So that means 8 subtract 2, which is just 6. So that one is straightforward. So notice the word subtract from and less than, those are the ones that you got to think backwards. Okay? All right, so let's get this. A number decreased by 10. A number decreased by 10. So remember, whenever you see the word number, let that be x. So I'm going to say, so the answer will be x subtract 10. So that's what that is. Now be careful with subtract from. Okay, so remember the number is x. subtracted from 10. So what that means is 10 subtract x. That's what that means. Less than, remember the less than is the other thing you write backwards. So 10 less than a number. So the number is x. You can say x minus 10. So that's what that one is. And then a number less 10. So a number less 10 means x minus 10. Okay? All right, so those are all, so these are the expressions given these words. So remember, decrease by, you write as you see it. Subtract from, you go backwards. Less than, you go backwards. And then a number less 10, you write in the same order. Okay, so these are the only ones you go backwards with. Okay, these two right here. So you got to be careful with these two. Okay? All right, so let's do the example. Okay, a ratio, remember ratio, you hear the word ratio. Ratio means to divide. Okay? All right, so let's talk about some words from the previous course, number 7. So if I say the ratio of 8 and 2, what that means is 8 divided by 2. So whatever is listed first is the numerator, what is listed second is the denominator. All right, so 8 divided by 2 is just 4. Okay? All right, so the ratio of a number and 6 is 24. All right, so notice it's going to say, right, each sentence says an equation. So now we're going to have equations. So notice these were not equations. These were just expressions that you were writing. So notice that none of these were you using the equal sign. Okay? So that's why it said just write an algebraic expression. All right, now remember, since we're using the equal sign, these are going to be the words that represents equals. Okay? All right, so let's look at this one. The ratio, so ratio of a number and 6. So what that means is x divided by 6. So that's what that part is. So the ratio of a number and 6 is, remember is, so if you see is right here, so is means equal. So is the ratio of a number and 6, so remember ratio means to divide. So the ratio of a number and 6, so since the number is listed first, that's going to be the numerator, and since 6 is listed second, that's going to be the denominator, is 24. So there's your equation. Okay, the next one, the difference of 10 and a number. So the difference of 10 and a number. So whatever's listed first comes first. Remember, difference means to subtract. So whatever listed first comes first, you can say the difference of 10 and a number. So that's 10 minus x. Now, be careful. Don't say x minus 10. That's 10 minus x. Is means equal, and then 18. Okay, the next one, 1 less than. Now, remember the word less than. So less than, you go backwards. Remember that. So 1's going to come after. So 1 less than twice a number. So let's think about what twice a number means. So twice means 2 times. So that twice a number means 2x. Okay, but we have the word less than. So that means that 2x has to be listed first. So remember when we did this, I always go back to this example right here. Let's see if I can find what I was referring to right here. So 10 less than the number. Remember, less than, you go backwards. So this number is going to list it first. So 10 minus x. Same thing here that we did here. So remember less than? 6 less than 2 means 2 minus x. So when I do this, right here, 1 less than twice the number, so twice the number comes first, and then you're going to subtract 1. So that first part, 1 less than twice the number, is this. 1 less than twice a number. Is means equal, and then 99. Okay? All right, so those are your equations for this part. Okay, that should take care of this lesson. And remember, in this lesson, you are basically translating words into symbols. And you just got to remember these words. You also have to remember that in terms of subtraction and division, the order does matter. Okay? All right.